and this dude comes out of his screen porch with a shotgun, and he says, "Get off my property right now! Y'all can't be chasing here!" Alright, so this is a story probably my most photogenic tornado, which would have been in Andover, Kansas in 2022. That morning, I remember it was a Friday, and we looked at, we had breakfast over models, as, you know, weather weenies do. Well, we're meteorologists, I shouldn't say we're meteorologists, as meteorologists do. And we looked further north into Kansas, northeastern Kansas, looked like it was going to go upscale pretty quickly. There was more forcing up there. Yeah, so we looked and we figured that the best target that day was going to be either northern Oklahoma or southern Kansas. That the best, it looks like the most discrete mode, best chance for a long trap supercells. So we go to the Kansas-Oklahoma border. We nowcast, and it was very clear the best environment to us looked like it was going to be in central Kansas, and we thought northern Oklahoma was going to cap bust. Spoiler alert, it did. So went up to central Kansas, and we sat there for a long time. Tornado watch was issued to our south for Oklahoma because Q Field was going up there first. And for DVD size hail, I still remember that they issued it for DVD size hail, and our watch was issued not much later than that, and we just sat there and waited. We saw a beautiful Q Field going up to our west, and then we sat there. It probably took about 2.5 to 3 hours for like a storm to actually fire, and once that, I mean, they all fired at the same time. We had 3 storms, and most of my group actually wanted to go north to the most northern storm, and I just loved the look of the southern storm. And I was like, I usually don't get this. I'm usually pretty flexible and go along with the flow. I was adamant that we needed to play the southern storm. That they were too close together. They're going to get the inflows, checked off. Anyway, so the southern storm develops as well as the northern storms. The northern storms actually get tornado warned first. So everyone in my car is just like, "See, Brad, I told you, like, the northern ones are the play." Almost, like the story that I talked about earlier, right? But, so so anyway, so we follow the storm, and then we're like, all right, it's getting its act together. Let's go far enough east so we can get well ahead of it. That way, while it's organizing, ordinary thunderstorm looking thing. We get, probably, 20 minutes east, and then we look, and it's this beautiful supercell that's just right in front of us, and it was incredible. The sun was just about to set, it was rotating rapidly, and yeah, it was just an incredible barber pole structure. And I looked at radar, and there was like no hook echo, like pure LP. So we're like, all right, this isn't producing a tornado, but it's just incredible structure. And out of nowhere, literally there was no warning, just watching the barb pole structure, and out of nowhere a cone just drops. There was not even a wall cloud, I kid you not. Like, it just dropped, right? There was just so much vorticity that it just dropped in front of us. And I'm like, huh? And then there was no warning, so we had to report it to the weather service, and they obviously issued a warning, and sirens went off for Andover. The radar screenshot from that was insane because it was just this core of rain and hail, and then there was a huge gap, and then just one little dot where the tornado was. Because there was just no, it was displaced maybe 10 miles from the precipitation. Incredible structure. We obviously saw it track into the town of Andover. We didn't get as close as some other chasers did on that day, which was nice because we didn't have any chasers around us, but also you could see the barber pole structure and the tornado as it was moving off. It was really, really incredible to see. And unfortunately, it did hit the town, but I don't think anyone was killed or injured in Andover. It was kind of miraculous. Saw that tornado until rope out, and when it roped out, it was about 30 miles away from us, and we could still see the tornado. That's how visible that tornado was. And yeah, so it's a really incredible storm. Definitely one, and you know, it was just funny because just before the storm fired, my friend was all freaking out, saying he lives in southeast Texas, so he's like, all right, it's time to go home. Like, this isn't, the cap's not going to break, and it ended up being for sure my best photogenic tornado by far. So it was a really cool chase. Early May 2022, and we had, I can't remember what the risk was that day. It was it was slight or enhanced, and it was, you know, a day I didn't have any courses, or I felt pretty good with my work. So, and I had a friend actually in town from Virginia that day, and his dream was to be on a longboard in front of a tornado. We drove that day. We stopped and evaluated at the Vernon Walmart. The Vernon Walmart is notorious for like chasers getting together, and that's a part of the country that sees a lot of tornadoes. So we get to the Vernon Walmart, we see a storm fire, really like it, and we get in perfect position for it, and we watch it. It's got this beautiful rotating wall cloud, and then it produces a very brief rope tornado that we saw, and then RFD surged and it roped out again really quickly. I think it was only on the ground for like 30 seconds. Like, it was a really brief, like, EO0 type tornado. So roped out, and then we have to move because the RFD is surging. And we had two options. One was to go north, which most of the chasers were going on, or the other option was to go south on this dirt road to get away from it. And we evaluated it, and it was like, all right, this hail in the RFD was like really strong. We didn't think we were gonna, it was moving really quickly. We didn't think we were gonna be able to get, the north road was too far to like the north before heading east, so we felt like we just couldn't get ahead of it. So we decided to dip south to a main east-west road, go east-west for a while, and then go north. Well, there's obviously no cell service in this part of the country, so it's kind of using paper maps, and because no one downloaded maps either, so yeah, we just used paper maps, and we're like hoping for the best. We're like, yeah, it's in this general direction. So anyways, unfortunately, we're going down this dirt road. It was very bumpy, you know. Meanwhile, we're getting, you know, one person who in the car that had, you know, spotty service was getting like reports of a tornado, and we're like, oh, we're missing them. I think we missed like 2 or 3 tornadoes that day. Like, it was a cyclical supercell, and so we're going down, and there's like my nav was like, oh, turn left here. So I turned left into this, it looked like just a road that kept going on. There was a house to the right, but we didn't see it as a driveway. We just saw it as just, you know, oh, it's a dirt road that just passes this house. Well, we drive down here, and we're turning the house is now probably just to my right, and this dude comes out of his screen porch with a shotgun, and he says, "Get off my property right now! Y'all can't be chasing here." And we're like, yes, sir. And we 3-point turned and like sped off. I mean, he didn't like cock it or anything or threaten us or anything. He was just, you know, defending his property, which he has every right to do. That's totally legal in the state of Texas. Definitely a little scary. He's got this cowboy hat. This is a classic Texan moment, right? So, we bolted out of there, you know, and we, you know, drove around this ranch for just, you know, forever. By the time we got to the main east-west road, the storm was already like 30 miles to our northeast. So we like bolted it east and bolted it north to get back in position. Luckily, the storm wasn't moving too fast, so we were able to catch up to it. And then we caught up to it. There were so many chasers on that storm. It was crazy. But we got up to it, got to a wind farm just south of Lockett, and we see this beautiful stovepipe come down, and my friend got his picture of a longboard in front of the tornado and the wind turbines. Like, it was a really, really cool picture. And then it moved across the road, and then we tried to, and then it came night. We tried to get the back side of it. We saw, in the rain, we saw what could have been the wedge tornado. We went back up to Vernon to go back to the Walmart where we started that day to fill up and about to head home. I think we might have gotten dinner at Brahms that night too. Brahms is always a good hit after a good chase. And I think you might have been at Brahms that night. Can't remember. But anyways, so we go to Brahms and we run into my friend Andrew Justin, and he goes, I barely know him at the time, and he goes, dude, and I'm just like, yes. It was like, dude, I was in the tornado, and I was like, what? Like, what? He's like, yeah, like, see this, it was incredible. Like, I got this gorilla hail that day, like, it was insane. And I like just met the dude, and I was like, what is he doing? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm just like, it was just funny. We're telling him our story, and he's like, oh, y'all were way too far. Y'all were like wimps. He gets some of the best tornado footage that I've ever seen. So he's just got a little more cojones than I do. But yeah. So, but it was cool. It's just a fun end of the chase, and it was a really, really fun experience.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure you take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell button so you're notified every time a video like this comes out. And while you're at it, why don't you check out chasepal.us? That way you're able to connect with us over all social media platforms.